line to the house, that it appears that the line has failed a pressure test, and he's asking us to approve or recommend to the board, excuse me, for approval of the installation of a pit meter. So again, it's a quick summation of Mr. Matt Folk's report, and he's asking us to recommend to the full board the approval of a pit meter for installation at a home on Airport Road.
Do you need a motion for that, Mark?
I would like a motion to recommend to the full board an installation of a pit meter on Airport Road at the location that Bob has identified.
I will make that motion.
Motion, is there support for the motion?
I'll support the motion. Zarin.
There's support for the motion. Is there further discussion? All in favor then of the motion to recommend to the full board the installation of a pit meter, the location on Airport Road, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Same sign. Motion carries. We're making a recommendation to the board for a pit meter installation. Secretary's report is in your packet. Are there questions, comments, or concerns about the Water Secretary's report? Anything?
Nope.
Looks good to me.
Are the reports satisfactory? Both
Yes.
Mr. Matt Folks and the Water Secretaries? If they are, a motion to accept the reports would be in order. Is there such a motion?
Move.
Moved by Mr. Janke. Is there support to accept the report? Excuse me, motion to accept the reports.
That was the motion. You need a second?
Support to accept the motion. We got a motion. I'm looking for a support for the motion.
I'll support it.
Thank you. Any further questions on the motion to accept the reports? Hearing none, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign, motion carries, reports are accepted. Unfinished business. Item added is the Mason sewer line, excuse me, Mason water line, and the need for cover. I did have a recent conversation with Mr. Zemnick and asked him if he could expedite an offer for our consideration. It arrived, well, actually, I printed it this afternoon when I went back into the office. It's dated the 8th. It arrived the 9th. It says repair railroad grade washout, place 1 load of clean and sand in the culvert area to protect water main, remove small trees blocking culvert opening, fill remaining rail grade with cheap fill dirt material, provide mine rock waterway at beginning of washout to prevent further erosion. The offer comes to $2,375.
I don't really see where we have a choice, eh?
I don't think so. It's just gonna get worse if we don't fix it now.
Money will just be more next year.
That's right.
I think that's an excellent point. If we can get ahead of it right now, it might
I think we're supposed to
help
have,
alleviate the situation, and certainly if we have to do work next year, it would probably reduce the cost.
I think we're supposed to have 10 good days. Can you get it in before it snows?
I believe he could. I would call him if the board takes action on it at the next meeting as early as tomorrow.
Well, I think
Is there a motion to recommend to the board the approving of up to $2,375 in, which is the offer from Zemnick Excavating, Inc. to do repairs to the cover over the water lines to Mason on the railroad grade?
I will make that motion.
It's been moved. Is there support?
Support.
I'll support Tracy.
Support it.
Tracy can have it. Tracy can have it.
Multiple supports. Thank you very much. Is there any further discussion on the motion to recommend to the board the offer from Zimnick Excavating to cover the water line? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. New business, Mason billing.
Yes. So Andy called me yesterday, I think, and was asking about how often we bill Mason. And currently Mason is billed with Dollar Bay, so they get their bills every other month. And I just off the cuff asked him, is there an issue with that, or do you see any problem? And he said that he couldn't see that there might be an issue. However, as it pertains to the residents, it could end up becoming a really big issue because, you know, that would obviously jack their bills pretty high every other month. So I did some initial digging just to see, we could keep all of the Mason residents in the database with Dollar Bay as they're set up right now, and change them to a different cycle and assign them different rates, which we're going to need to do anyway because they're going to have sewer, and possibly move them to a monthly billing cycle. But I don't know how we want to handle this. We do at the next meeting, we have a letter that's going to be going out to the residents. And I was thinking perhaps we could send a letter out, because ultimately it's the residents that have to pay for it. So they could give us feedback on their preference maybe.
What's the board's thought on that approach?
I mean, I think she's right. I think we have to almost move that group towards a Tamarack billing cycle instead of a Dollar Bay billing cycle. Really, if you ask me, I mean that's my from the outside cheap seats here. That's my thought on it.
Yeah, just my input, but the reason we went to every month in Tamarack was because if we waited every 2 months, those bills were enormous. So, and I think they're going to run into that same boat if you do them bi-monthly.
Right.
I mean, if you cut their water bill in half, so it's like $25, and then it's I don't know, Andy, what the final tally is on this bill going to be at this time, but if it's $60, then we're looking at like an $85 bill a month for them.
Yeah, and 85 is a lot easier to look at than 160. It's the same difference, but it's just easier with that monthly instead of bi-monthly bill. We find it that way in Tamarack anyway. I mean, at least I do.
That was my thought too. I mean, not everybody, like I personally pay my water bill every month. I just take what I average and pay half on the month that we don't get a bill. But I don't know, it just might be something different if people actually get it. But would it be okay then if I just included a little note to the residents in that letter? Like I said, we'll be talking about it at the board meeting, but just to hopefully get some feedback to see what their preference would be.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I mean, just say this is what we're thinking, and if they don't like it, maybe they want to go bi-monthly. But at least we're coming up with an idea for them.
Yeah.
Just a note for this, though. I mean, but if we do this, obviously we were going to have to do something here monthly, anyways, likely. But for the water part of it, that might not mean that they're the same rate as the Dollar Bay route, because right now the Dollar Bay customers are only paying for a bi-monthly reading in the secretary. Now you're going to have to do a monthly reading and a secretary doing bills every month. So just because they're on the same water system, I'm not sure that you can say that it's the same bill anymore. I don't know how that's going to work out, but I feel like there's extra hours that the water secretary and the water operator are going to have to put in order to do that. There might be a little adder there. That's all I'm throwing out there too,
Yeah, I had considered that too. And I had meant to try to get a hold of Bob today to run it by him just to see his thought. I know at least as far as the billing, it's going to be a wash because it's only about it's between 17 and 20 bills, and she'll just be moving it from one to the, to the other. She's got a bill every month regardless. So those 20 bills would just get moved to every month. But I can pull like some of those rates too and see.
Yeah, I don't know how long it takes Bob to go over there. I'm sure he just has to take that with the meter and he just drives through town. It might only be an hour to do it, drive over there and then roll through and have the handheld collect the readings and then come back and dock it. But I mean, you're probably talking a minimum of an hour or two extra time during the billing cycle. That
Right.
it's not a lot, but it is something, and
Right.
I don't think that the customers that are on a bi-monthly because we're trying to save them money should suddenly have to start paying more now because there is a certain group that has to go this route. But
May I offer a suggestion? Into the discussion would be to, if we're going to write them and let them know that at this moment, it is a bi-monthly bill, and explain what the consequences would be and ask them if they prefer that or a monthly bill.
yeah, I mean,
And that way what we're doing is we're starting with the status quo by saying, this is how it's currently done. This is what it would look like. Or would you prefer that we bill you monthly? As Don has suggested, we get used to it or got used to it down in Tamarack City, and it's much easier to budget, especially if you have a heavy month. You know that the bill will probably be smaller if there's less usage the next month, which has been the case for me personally.
if you
So,
break
but
it
right
down,
now, they're on a every other month billing cycle. If we allow them the option of retaining it or we'll consider moving to something else, it allows them to stay where they are and not anticipate a change. Just a thought.
yeah, I like it. I mean, if you break it down, you're looking at an operator and a truck, a piece of equipment that it's going over there. And even if he's over there for an hour, I mean, say you're charging that out to be $60. Well, I mean, if there's 20 customers, that's an extra $3 a piece for each customer for that month, So I'm just making it, so you're looking at a monthly increase in their rate of I'd say at least $3, just putting it out there.
But the idea of asking them which method they prefer makes perfect sense.
Agreed.
Okay.
I don't know that we need to take formal action because you'd be making an inquiry. Is that a reasonable assumption on my part? It is a letter we would insert in or make available to them as quickly as possible for them to get back to us.
Yeah.
We're alerting them to the possibility of a monthly bill.
Right. Yes.
Okay. Anything else on Mason billing, Krista?
No, that was it. Thank you.
Comments, ideas on the approach?
No, I don't have any, I'm gonna sit back and just think about that addition for Bob's truck and that, because that time to me is already in their contract for maintenance and that stuff. I don't know if we can keep adding to their bills for the amount of time that's there. To me, that's something that should have already been figured out in there, but I don't know, like, just a comment, just like Aaron said, I think we got to think about that.
But there's consensus that a letter should go to them with an opportunity for them to look at and decide what they think is best individually or collectively.
Just a comment. I agree with that 100%.
Krista, are you comfortable with that? There's consensus for you to proceed?
Absolutely.
Okay. Anything else under new business? Hearing nothing, before I call for a motion to adjourn, is there anyone participating with our meeting that would like to take advantage of a final public comment session relative to the Osceola Township Water Board? If you'd like to offer comment or input, you would have up to 3 minutes. Please identify yourself if you choose to, and the clock would start running when you begin speaking. Hearing none, you kindly note the time, Tracy, when public comment segment was offered again.
Okay.
Is there any other business to come before the board from anybody's perspective?
Nope.
Hearing none, a motion to adjourn is in order. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I will, Krista.
Is there support?
I will, Tracy.
All in favor of the motion to adjourn, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
We stand adjourned. Please note the time. I have 6:24.
Got 6:25.
6:25, I'd like yours better. We will begin the Township Board meeting within 5 minutes, not later than 6:30.
In the township board packet, there was a note about Miss Gardner asked about the township doing an old-fashioned rink with snowbank style boards at the rink this year. Has anything about that come up at the meeting?
Yes.
Okay. And then also the possible burning pit, will that come up at the meeting as well? You asked about a possible burning
Right. I
at sand pit for residents brush.
not that I'm aware. I don't think that's on the agenda tonight.
Okay, and compost pile?
That was part of the same thing out across from Sandy Bottoms, and no, I don't see that on the agenda.
Because it said, let's see, those requested will be investigated.
Yeah, I knew.
Okay,
I'm pretty sure I saw Tracy. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure I saw a bill come through that the road was taken care of out to the sand pit. Oh, she might have got up.
okay.
I think that the road is Mark gone. Mark, are you still
No,
there?
I'm right here.
Oh, did I thought a Julio bill came through that to take care of the road out to the sand pit. Am I correct?
I know that they were planning to do it. I had some conversations with Julio's staff about it.
Okay, then that probably was the bill. I just quickly thumbed through them.
I wasn't sure if they'd gotten out there yet. They hadn't gotten back to me about completing it, but I knew they were looking at it.
Okay.
Okay. The,
Was there some brush and compost too?
Yeah, because we had talked about the possibility of doing the like the leaves and brush burning out there, and then we'd broached the possibility of a compost station or whatever out there.
Yeah, that was Donnie's idea, and I think we're gonna flush it out further over the winter to see if it's doable.
Okay.
I haven't talked with him about it in the last several weeks though.
Okay.
okay. The, and will it be discussed if there is going to be an ice rink at the meeting as well?
I believe, well, yes. Yep, it's under.
There's an ice rink up on the agenda. That's correct.
Okay, thanks.
Welcome. Tracy, how we doing on the time?
We got about 15 seconds.
Okay.
You can go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. We'll call the Osceola Township Board meeting to order. Could we have roll call, please, as to attendance of board members?
Ms. Gardner,
Here.
Mr. Jenke,
I'm here.
Mr. Wareham,
Here.
Mr. Hulkala,
Here.
and myself. We're all present.
The full membership present. Our next item is the Pledge of Allegiance. I believe, Tracy, you're in the office meeting room, are you not?
I am.
May I ask you to please stand? The rest of us will join you, and if you would kindly face the flag and lead us in the pledge, I would very much appreciate it.
All right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States
The
of
United
America,
States of America,
to the
to the
republic
republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Have we concluded?
Yes.
Thank you. And thanks to everyone who participated. The next item before us is approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
I will make the
Tracy, I'll
motion.
second.
We have a motion. Is there support to the motion?
I'll support it if she didn't take me for the motion.
All right.
Okay.
Thank
All
you.
motion support.
Okay.
Motion and support. Additions, under new business, we would be adding recommendations from the water board. A pit meter for Airport Road and the covering of the water line erosion between Dollar Bay and Mason on the railroad grade. Are there other additions to the agenda from members of the board? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion to approve the agenda as presented with the additions coming forward from the water board meeting, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The agenda with the recommendations from the water board meeting has been approved. The next item is approval of the minutes. We have two sets of minutes in our packet. The general township meeting held on November 4th and the special meeting held on November 10th. We will take them in that order. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes for the November 4th meeting of the township board?
I'll make that motion,
We
Krista.
have a motion. Is there support?
Support.
There's support.
Who was that supported?
That was Aaron.
Okay.
Thank you. Appreciate you speaking up. I'm not always sure the voices myself. Are there any additions, corrections, or deletions suggested to the minutes for the November 4th board meeting? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion to approve the minutes for the November 4th, 2020 board meeting, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Right.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Also in your packet are the minutes for our special meeting held on November 10th, 2020. Do I have a motion to approve those minutes as presented?
All motion. It's Tracy.
I have a motion. Is there support? We
Dono,
have
second.
support. The motion and support, are there any corrections, additions, deletions suggested for the minutes from our special meeting on November 10th? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion to approve the minutes for our special meeting on November 10th, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The special meeting minutes have been approved. Next item, financial reports. They include reports for Township, the Road Fund, Mason Wastewater Fund, Tamarack City Water, and Osceola Township Water. Please note that the Osceola Township Water comes with a recommendation from the Water Board, TC Water likewise. Included in the packet are profit and loss, budget versus actual, balance sheets, check detail and deposit detail where applicable. Are there any questions about any of the reports? Do I have a motion to accept the reports as presented?
I'll make
I'll
that
move-
motion. It's Krista.
We have a motion. Do we have support to accept the financial reports as presented?
I'll second, Don.
We have a second. Are there any corrections, deletions, additions, suggested changes at all to any of the reports? Hearing none, and given that these are our financial reports, could I have a roll call vote, please, on approval of the financial reports?
Ms. Gardner,
Yes.
Mr. Wareham,
Yes.
Mr. Jenke,
Yes.
Mr. Hulkala?
Yes.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you very much. Next item is approval of payment of bills, general fund, road fund, Mason fund, Tamarack City Water, and Osceola Township Water. Please note that the water system bills come with recommendations from the water boards. Do I have a motion to approve payment of the bills? General fund, road fund, Mason fund, Tamarack City Water, and Osceola Township Water.
I made that motion, Tracy.
Tracy makes the motion. Is there support?
Support, Aaron.
There is support from Aaron. Is there any further discussion on the motion to approve payment of the bills? Hearing none, again, we'll call for a roll call vote on this. Ms. Houle?
Ms. Gardner,
Yes.
Mr. Wareham,
Yes.
Mr. Jenke,
Yes.
Mr. Hulkala?
Yes.
Myself, yes.
Motion carries. Thank you very much. Next item on our agenda is public comment. Anyone participating with our meeting that would like to offer comment to the board may do so now. We'll have up to 3 minutes and may comment on any topic that they wish to bring to the board's attention. Please identify yourself. The clock will start when you begin speaking. Please know that there will be a second opportunity at the end of the meeting before we adjourn for public comment. Is there anybody interested in addressing the board at this time? Hearing none, we'll reserve that opportunity for people at the end of the meeting, should they wish to comment at that time. Ms. Wool, please note the time that public comment was first called for. Next item on the agenda are the reports. You have in your packet handouts the assessor's report, maintenance report, Dollar Bay Fire Department report, Dollar Bay First Responders report, Tamarack City Fire Department report, Tamarack City Utility Board report, and Torch Lake Sewage Authority report. There may be some reports that arrive late. If you do not have them, please accept my apology. You will get them forwarded to you as expeditiously as possible. And if they are not currently posted, they will be posted within a matter of days for people to review. Does anyone have any questions, comments about any of the reports identified? I do have some information about Board of Review et al. I'll address that under the Board of Review segment of my report. Anything on any of the handout written reports? If not, I'm ready to go to my report when you're ready. You all set?
Go ahead.
First item is Board of Review. There is a Board of Review meeting scheduled for next Thursday, the 17th at 10 a.m. at the Township Hall. Given the restrictions on meeting, we will be talking with UP Engineering about setting up a Zoom meeting on our behalf for that meeting. There is a tentative agenda that has been sent out. It's quite brief. Welcoming and call to order, Pledge of Allegiance, public comment, minutes from the July meeting, the assessor's report, petitions, consideration of action on petitions, certify all corrections per state law, act on any other matters, and adjournment. This will be available in the township office as early as Monday and will be posted prior to the meeting. Again, these meetings are open to the public. In my last conversation with our assessor, it was noted that 2021 is an odd year and we are required to reappoint our Board of Review members. May I suggest that we take that up under new business? There is an item about reappointment there. So with Board of Review meeting next week, we're still working out the logistics. We went through a very successful site visit from my perspective with Lori Burton, Risk Control Representative, on behalf of Trico Marine, our insurance company. The meeting went well. Matt Folk participated, as did Ron Kokanen. Their input was very much appreciated. I had a delightful 2 hours with her. She toured a number of facilities to include the Dollar Bay Fire Hall, our proposed ice rink area, the beach. She came down to Tamarack and looked at the park, along with the fire hall, was offered an opportunity to visit the water tank area in Tamarack City, but it indicated she, when meeting with Mr. Matt Folk, had looked over much of the facility in Dollar Bay or received input from him and did not feel a need to go up the hill to look at the tank at this time. Report still to be forwarded. It will be made available to the board upon its arrival. One item that I had on my list we've already addressed, and that is the offer from Mr. Zimnick to cover the water line running from Dollar Bay to Mason. Winter parking is an issue. It came up in a recent conversation with Mr. Janke, and he sent me in a direction to find additional information. And Aaron, you were absolutely correct. There is a winter parking notice put out by the Road Commission. It's on their face page on their website. I did print the face page, but generally speaking, between 2 a.m. and 8 a.m., you cannot be parking on the streets that they plow. If you are there, you will get first a warning, then a contact and perhaps a warning, and then perhaps a towing. I did talk to Ray at the Road Commission, Ray Sadio, and he indicated to me that they've been a little bit lenient because they're not plowing, because the roads are, of course, bare, given the weather we've been having. But I did follow up, and your direction was very much appreciated, and the information was almost verbatim the way you described it. So thanks, Aaron. Appreciate it.
So does this mean that we probably won't have to, we don't need to look into this? We're just going to leave it in the county's hands at this time? Is that what we're thinking here, or what do you think?
Well, I think that I asked him what they would do if we had vehicles that, as the snow began to accumulate, were in the roadway. And he said, if they're there between 2 and 8, we're going to warn them first, but they're going to ultimately, if they persist, end up getting ticketed and or towed. So I was left with the impression that they are aware of it. I explained a couple of the situations in Dollar Bay, and in essence, we agreed to keep each other posted on what's going on. So I did mention in passing our parking ordinance that we prohibit parking on the sidewalk over the summer, but in the winter we expect people to park there to get off of the roadway to make way for the plows. I'm open to suggestion. I thought The conversation went very well with Ray and found him helpful as always, and I'm anticipating his assistance if we run into issues down the road with him.
Just for the group's knowledge, I had a
Please, Aaron.
I had a there's a building across the road from me that that just got made into a duplex, but the problem is that they don't have enough room. They only have one small driveway on one side of the building. So some people that moved in on the other side now, and there is no place but the road for them to park. And they're parking not just on the road, but way out in the road. And I can't back out of my driveway now because they're basically parking in the road. So I anticipate it being an issue here when the snow starts falling, and so that's what prompted my question. And I know there's a couple different places in town where I've kind of I've seen this issue, and so that's what brought it up, I guess. And I was wondering if we had anything in terms of an ordinance to deal with these rental units, because we have these small lots, and they're using the road as their driveways, and they don't own the road. They don't own the right of way, and they're not allowed to park there. So at this time, I'm not sure if we have that covered well enough or not. And I guess I'm still not. I see that you got it, and we have our thing that you're not allowed to park on the road. But I guess I would like to maybe talk with you a little more later and maybe visit this again.
I think let's leave the door open and see how it goes when the snow falls. And if we get no relief from parking in the right of way, if you will, on the road, we'll certainly alert the road commission. And their winter parking notice is in effect as we speak. It starts on November 1st, but as Ray said, they've been lenient at this moment because there's no snow to remove.
Yeah.
I can understand the position, but I'm confident that they will take appropriate action when necessary to address issues around parking on the street if it becomes a nuisance to them, and conceivably to us if people are parking where they shouldn't be. So.
All right, let's just see how it goes. But I can definitely see, we've already had some issues with that guy on the corner down there, and now this new one, and I just want to make sure that we have the tools to deal with that.
We'll stay on top of it. Any additional comments, Aaron?
Not at this time on that subject. Like you said, we'll just wait and see.
The next item I had on my list was my conversation with Tom Jetta relative to the ice rink. I just moved it down under ice rink update. Suffice it to say that he and I are going to be talking if we go forward, but I'll get to that under unfinished business in a few moments. Signed the document forwarded by UP Engineering relative to use of the railroad right-of-way for the Mason Sewer Project. That's been taken care of, forwarded back to them for appropriate distribution. And let's see. I think that's it from my standpoint, just bringing up to date on that last application. Already mentioned Board of Review agenda. I think I'll stop there because other items are addressed under other parts of the agenda. Any questions of me? Our next item, unfinished business, UP Engineering. Andy, Jim, Emmett, who's representing UP Engineering for this portion of our agenda?
I will. This is Jim.
Jim, the floor is yours.
All right, thank you. We have several things to discuss from the email I sent out. The packet, there's a rural development draw request number 5, which includes a resolution for payment. And the payments in that resolution are for outstanding invoice for UP Engineers, $2,589.09. And MJO contracting application number 4, amount of $36,000. $813.86. So that will need to be approved and then sent off to rural development. As far as the project goes, just a quick update. The project is substantially completed. At your January meeting, we will have a certificate of substantial completion for signature, which is a standard form when a contractor, everything is up and running. So we'll give them a certificate of completion. At that point, we're hoping by January there will be no more work left for them to do. And we'll probably close them out as far as a final payment, which they'll have to send in a consent to surety or with that, and final lien waivers. I think the only remaining thing to do is there's a hookup that they will be making as part of the project. Emmett and Andy are working on that with MJO and the homeowner right now. And then so the project on MJO's end should be wrapped up next meeting. The project will stay open because you have I mentioned the capital capitalized interest, which will pay for your upcoming invoices from rural development for the loan for the next year. So we'll keep it open and we'll continue to process those. There'll probably be one I can't remember the months they're in. They're typically in February, March, and then in the fall. So I'll process those at that time with you. But Mark, you had mentioned that railroad permit. You know, this project went really, really well. I think for the most part, everything seemed to fall in place. We're way under budget. And this final step with this permit is the only glitch that really happened from what I can tell. And it's just something that fell through the cracks. The contractor did not send in he had the insurance certificate for that permit and never got sent in. So we're just working with DOT right away, the railroad right away folks right now to rectify that, get that form in that you mentioned you signed. And that couldn't be signed until the insurance certificate was in hand. So it's a little bit putting the horse before the cart here on this one, but we're working with DOT on it just to make sure anything they need on this, we have all the documentation needed in the right of way, pictures, soil samples of the soils that were taken, everything they required in their permit application. We have documentation for that we can, and we've told them that, you know, we'll give them anything they need to satisfy that permit. They did bring something new up and we're trying to figure out where it's coming from, but they're talking about an annual fee to have that line in there right away. And this is an abandoned railroad. It's not, there's not even tracks there. So we're not sure if that's really applicable or not. We're trying to get to the bottom of it. But we'll let you know as we find more information out on that. So it's kind of a quick update on the project. And so I guess the first item would be the resolution for payment. And if there's any questions before that, I'll take them.
You're looking for the resolution?
Yeah, a motion on the resolution for payment in the amount of $39,402.95.
I'll make the resolution. This is Krista.
So there's a motion from Krista to approve the resolution. Do I have support for that motion?
I'll support.
I have support from Tracy. Are there any additional questions of Jim about the resolution? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion to approve the resolution as presented will indicate by saying aye. We'll have a roll call vote.
Okay, Ms. Gardner?
Opposed, please indicate by saying nay. If you are abstaining, please note.
Ms.
Tracy,
Gardner?
would you call the roll, please?
Yep, Ms. Gardner?
Yes.
Mr. Jenke?
Abstain.
Mr. Wareham,
Yes.
Mr. Hulkala,
Yes?
and myself, yes.
Thank you.
Okay,
Jim?
so then, yep, so
One-
then, once, now that the resolution's passed, as far as the documents that were attached to that package, there's a 440-11 form that Mark will need to sign. MJO's payment application number 4 will need to be signed as well, and the resolution filled out. And once you deliver that to me, I'll send that packet off to rural development. Then the next item is a change order to MJO, and it's really another quantity adjustment as we get closer and closer. We continue to evaluate and project out the quantities. There'll be one minor change order, I think, next month, but this one kind of wraps most of it up. So it's a change order amount. It's a reduction in cost of $22,985.70 to MJO. It's change order number 4.
And you would like a motion to approve change order number 4?
Yes.
Have such a motion.
I will make that motion, Don.
Don, is there support for Don's motion to approve change order number 4 for the Mason Sewer Project?
I'll second. It's Tracy.
It's a second. Are there questions of Jim before we proceed to the vote on the motion to approve change order number 4? Any comments on change order number 4? Hearing none, we'll have a roll call vote. Yeas, nays, and abstentions. Ms. Hool.
Ms. Gardner.
Yes.
Mr. Jenke.
Yeah, abstain again.
Mr. Wareham.
Yes.
Mr. Hulkala,
Yes?
myself, yes.
Motion
Okay.
carries. Thank you.
Thank
Jim,
Yep.
please
thank you.
proceed.
Yep, and now that that's approved, there's a place for Mark to sign under accepted, and it says owner authorized signature. So we-
Okay, yep, I've got it here.
Yep, sign, title, and date that, and I'll, send that along with the other items that, under the draw request. The next item is a engineering services agreement amendment number 2 in the amount of $7,332. And what that mainly covers is when our agreement was done a couple of years ago, after that time, rural development changed their regulations to require American-made steel on a lot of items as far as piping and different mechanical type equipment. And what it required us to do was to take pictures, to get all this documentation from the contractor certifying that it's they complied with this, and we had to get the contractor all a list of the items and really monitor those and send in every item into rural development with backup information. It's quite an extensive process they've added. So that I was hoping we might be able to do this under our original pricing, but it didn't turn out that way. So it is additional services that I was not able to absorb. And it was just one of those things that regulations changed in the middle of the game, which kind of happens now and then. So that's what that amendment is for.
And the resources, the amendment would come from where?
That would come out of your contingency in the budget, which you have about $140,000 remaining. So, yeah,
Thank
the
you.
project.
Jim, you're looking for a motion then to approve engineering services agreement amendment number 2?
Correct.
Do I have such a motion?
I'll motion. Tracy.
I'll
Tracy moves.
support
Is there
Tricia.
support?
Yes.
There is support for the motion. Are there questions of Jim
Yes.
relative to the amendment? Anyone?
No.
Hello?
No.
Okay, thank you. Call for a vote on the motion. Again, all in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying aye. Those opposed, same sign. Those abstaining, please indicate. We'll have a roll call vote on the motion, please. Ms. Hool?
Ms. Gardner,
Yes.
Mr. Jenke. Aaron?
Abstain. Sorry, was muted.
Okay. Mr. Wareham,
Yes.
Mr. Hokola,
Yes,
myself, yes.
thank you. Jim, please continue.
Okay, the last item that I wanted to cover was we sent over an updated lateral installation process handout, which is several pages. It's basically the same handout we did during the public informational meetings with the change of the mandatory hookup paragraph. We added that, this is informing, and the first paragraph basically, and second, basically informing them that the sewer system is up and running and ready for connection. If anyone wishes to connect, they got to follow the process of getting the permit, a licensed contractor and a permit from the county, and go through the township to make sure that it gets inspected. One of the most important things is from this point, that 90-day hookup period begins. And as we discussed all along, because of the timing, it did happen later here in the year. We have language in there saying that, they can go ahead and hook up. However, with the current construction season approaching winter shutdown, the township will not begin the 90-day connection period until 2021, the spring of 2021 road restrictions are when the road restrictions are lifted. And that's typically around May 15th, or we have written in there May 17th, 2021. So that's when your 90 days would begin, and they would have 90 days to hook. But anyone can actually go in and hook up now if they're having issues. And then, you'd have to follow this process. They would have to get the permit, which it's attached. In this packet, there is, if anyone asks, there's also that same contact information to rural development. As far as being able to individual homeowners to apply for a grant or a very low interest loan to have a contractor go out and install this lateral. There's a process there and a contact information, Jim Jackson from Rural Development. And that application form is in here. The sample plumbing permit application to the county is also in here, which typically the contractor that they hire would fill out and help them with that and get that. And your sewer use ordinance sections that are appropriate to installation of laterals is attached. So it's all very helpful information that they can follow to go through this process. And that's where Jim Sierra, who you've hired as your operator for this system, would go through and inspect those laterals as they're being installed, and making sure that the septic tanks are properly abandoned. So that's for information, and I would assume that you would move forward with either mailing this out or hand delivering this to each of the 21 or 22 homeowners in Mason.
This correspondence would come
from the township. You would be informing your residents that this system is up and running. That's what this document is. It probably makes sense to post it on your website for everyone, but I would suggest mailing it to each of the property owners or hand delivering it and documenting when you did it.
Have there been people indicating a desire to hook up this fall already?
I personally have not heard of any, but I don't know if anyone's talked to any of the board members.
Not
A
me.
conversation that I had with Emmett, he implied that 1 or 2 people might be interested, so.
Okay. Yeah, and it's ready to go. So if anyone wants to, yeah, just following the procedure and the way this winter is kind of coming in really slow, there's an opportunity for sure.
Questions of Jim?
This is Cindy here. If I have a question, do I ask at public comment?
Cindy, if the question's very brief and it's relevant to the point, we'll let you ask it right now.
Yes, I was wondering if UP Engineering was not able to absorb the cost for buying American made, and the board just agreed to take it out of the contingency fee. How much was the cost?
Not really clear about the question, but it was a service that we had to provide additional services that rural development imposed on everybody in the country. And it was the fees that I put in the amendment are the fees that it costed us to go through that process. And the money is coming from the contingency, which is, at this point, it's 100% grant.
Oh, so the township doesn't pay anything then from those fees that you put in?
Correct. It comes right out
Okay.
of the project funding, and it's 100% grant.
Thank you.
Cindy, thank you for the question. Jim, thank you for the clarification.
No problem.
Any questions of Jim from the board relative to the correspondence? Jim, anything else?
I have nothing else.
We need to look at then a timeline internally for getting the correspondence out, posted on our website, and either hand delivered and or mailed, or both, to the residents of Mason. Is your
Yeah.
recommendation then?
Yes, I would do that sooner than later.
Thank you.
Mark, I'll get it taken care of before the weekend.
Thank you, Krista.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
Krista, you're awesome.
As usual. Thank you very much, Krista.
Yep.
Jim, is that it for UP Engineering?
That is all I have. Andy, did you have anything that I might have missed?
No, I think you pretty much got it covered.
Okay, very good.
Appreciate it. Tracy, I think on the documents, there's a place that requires your signature. If you would kindly just leave the documents on the table for me, I will sign them in the morning, make our copies, and get them over to UP Engineering in the morning.
Perfect, I'll do that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. You all have a good night.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Jim. Appreciate it. Next item on our agenda is the Travis Engineering report. And I printed this very late in the afternoon. My apologies. I will read it to you. It's very brief. It's from John Paul, and he states as follows: I will have an update for you on the FEMA projects that will be bid out this winter at the January meeting. The reimbursement request for the 6th Street FEMA project should be submitted next week. He wants to know if we have any questions and says thank you, and he's wishing us a great day and a happy season. That's the extent of the report relative to the FEMA projects. Next item under unfinished business, unless there are any comments on Travis Engineering, the ice rink. A quick update, if I may. An earlier conversation this fall with representatives of our insurance company had led me to believe that an old-fashioned ice rink was probably not something that would be easily covered under our liability insurance. The boards, as we know, have been removed and are no longer ours, and we are having difficulty getting estimates. I had a lengthy conversation earlier in the week with Mark Hunula from our insurance representative, who said, I think we've done something like this in the past and didn't see any reason why we couldn't go forward with an ice rink, an old-fashioned ice rink, where we would, to use the UP terminology, pank down the snow over the blacktop, create a boundary for the ice rink with snow, and then flood what has been flattened and firmed up, and ultimately end up with a skatable surface. I talked with our ice rink manager earlier today, who's very much interested in it, but said it's probably going to be quite some time, if the board wishes to go forward, before we're in a position to do much of anything, and I agreed. But if the board would like me to pursue this further and begin to move forward with the expectations of an ice rink, it would be my pleasure. So, is that acceptable to
Absolutely.
the board?
Yes, me, Krista.
We'll pursue it, see what we can do. But I was delighted by Mr. Honeywell's comments and indication that sounds like an old-fashioned ice rink. I said, that's what it would be. And his one comment was, it might be difficult for people to play hockey there. And I suggested we may look at this as almost exclusively, if you would, a skating rink. And that comment met, he thought that was a favorable comment, though he did not oppose hockey. He wondered about how it could be played without boards, et cetera, other than pickup fashion. But certainly we can look into, with a degree of seriousness now, putting an old-fashioned rink onto our surface in Dollar Bay once the weather permits it to happen. That's all I've got on an ice rink update. Does anybody have any questions?
Are they gonna provide us with money to replace the boards then, or what are we gonna do here? How are we gonna do this?
Yeah, that's on a separate track, Aaron. Thank you for the question. I'm working with an adjuster by the name of Andrew Wilcox, but we're having difficulty with construction costs, what they are, and the time of the season, getting anybody to go down there, look at it, and give us an estimate. But Mark didn't seem to see that as a huge issue, understood what the problem was, and said that, yeah, we can address that issue on a parallel track. And I've already talked with our adjuster and forwarded information to him as to the size of the slab, et cetera. But we're going to need an estimate over the winter, early spring, relative to the cost for repair. And then we're going to be able to turn a claim in.
All right, so we're just looking at a one, a one season thing here, I guess, at this point.
At just this season, that's an excellent point, Aaron. We're just talking about this winter, 2021. The hope is that we have estimates, a selected contractor, a settlement with our insurance company that will go a long way, if not entirely cover the cost. And then we can look at whatever resources we have, as you have suggested in the past, to look at possible enhancements as part of this project. And we will be looking at recreational grant opportunities this winter and spring for that property as well.
Sounds like a plan, okay.
Trying to fold it all together and come up with what we've been talking about on and off for the last couple of years, so, and beyond.
Well, eventually we got to fish or cut bait there. So it's something we either got to try to do this or abandon.
Anything else? Comments on the ice rink? We'll continue to proceed. Item D under unfinished business, Houghton County Recreational Authority membership. It has been tabled. I have a suggestion. I talked with the new Houghton County administrator, who indicated that this recreational authority is going to play a rather significant role in fixing, if you will, the snowmobile trail between Hancock and Lake Linden. They have apparently had discussions on it at some level already. I haven't spoken with him in recent days, but I told him that we had tabled membership, we had not abandoned membership. I have a suggestion to the board that because what they are seeking is our endorsement of their articles of incorporation and in effect becoming one of the members under the articles, that we take the item off the table if desired this evening and vote to go forward with approval of the articles after everybody gets a chance to review them one more time at our January meeting. We could actually cover everything in January if people feel that that would be appropriate, and we use the time between now and the 13th of January to review the articles of incorporation again, to make sure we're comfortable with them, and then I can indicate to him, I believe his name is Nelson, that we're interested and we're voting on it in January. So board's preference?
Does this group have anything to do with the stuff I've been hearing about? I've been hearing Eagles looking at, I can't remember what the number was. Is it 1 point something million here that they're trying to get this winter or something to move forward with this reconstruction? Or are we just talking about the recreational trail, the walking portion of the trail? Which group is this for?
Well, I think what the Recreational Authority is implying in my conversations with the county administrator is that this would be restorative of the snowmobile trail in one form or another. You may recall that Bob also raised issues about what's being proposed, I believe, coming out of Eagle for a trail connecting Hancock with Lake Linden and its possible impact on our infrastructure in Tamarack City, particularly up on the hill. I do have maps, I believe, in my file at the office that I printed recently from the trail director for the DNR out of Marquette County, but did not include them in the packet. But I do have 2 maps of a tentative trail that they're talking about. So I think what we've got are a number of organizations and certainly the state looking at restorative action relative to the trail, not to its original pathway, but to come up with a methodology to push the trail between Hancock and Lake Linden. And that's obviously coming through Osceola Township. So I think we best stay on top of it from both perspectives, what Eagle or the DNR is up to, and perhaps what the Recreational Authority is looking at and their involvement in the process. Comments, questions? You want an opportunity to review the articles again and we'll take it up in January and vote?
That would be my feeling, Mark. Let's relook at it and vote in January. Take it off the table, relook at it, and we'll vote in January on it.
I'll let Mr. Nelson know that that's our decision and we will be voting on it, and that I will convey that there is interest in the authority, but we want to revisit the articles of incorporation one more time. Is that fair enough?
I think so. I don't know what everyone else thinks. I think that's a good idea.
That acceptable? Aaron, Krista, Tracy?
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Okay, thank you. Moving along, new business township ordinances. Let me bring you up to date on some recent activities and let you know where we're going. I had hoped to have a little more information tonight, but I've been bogged down in a few other things for which I apologize, but ordinance continue to be a priority for me and will for the foreseeable future. I'm suggesting that the next ordinance that we put up on our website is the burning ordinance. I have probably had between 8 and 12 calls about burning in and around Dollar Bay over the last month. Some have been messages. I've had an opportunity to talk with individuals. They have identified locations. I have gone to the locations. I have found just under a half dozen burn barrels, fire pits, barbecues in use. But regrettably, when there was a fire apparently in one of the fire pits, I arrived from my house in Dollar Bay in about 8 to 10 minutes after receiving the call, and the only smoke that I saw was coming from Horner Flooring, and knew that that wasn't it. So I drove back and forth on several streets around Horner Flooring looking, and found numerous burn barrels, but nothing burning. So that we post the ordinance as our next one, and I have followed up with phone calls to the individual or individuals that have contacted me. They are, if I may phrase it this way, like an alert system. They want to call me and let me know what they see and are asking me to investigate. And when I get there, there's no one out and there are no fires. But I have made 4 different trips from the house and a couple from the office in that direction and found nothing yet except burn barrels that were not active. But I thought the burn ordinance would be an appropriate one to put up next. I have been working with our attorney more in the past couple of weeks rather than the immediate past week on everything from an early warning or heads up, and we're going to be using input from the community and input from Steve Karpiak, my predecessor, as the template, along with something that Pat's come up with. He's reviewed our warning and our violation notices, and those are items that we have forwarded on a FOIA request. I submitted a lot of material relative to a FOIA request. We will be amending the invoice. We've received some additional information about cost. I was looking at Freedom of Information Handbook from the state of Michigan, Attorney General Dana Nessel, and it said we can charge a fee. I did not go into the minutia of the state statute, and I used our standard copying fee. Apparently the state has identified, as documents forwarded to me have indicated, a lesser fee. We'll be charging the lesser fee on that. We have some blight issues in the township that are going to require attention. These are not old issues, but we've had 4 quite serious building identifications relative to blight over my tenure. Each of them have very unique circumstances around them. One in Tamarack City has now been taken down by a new owner on M26 on the main street here, the old gas station. One up on the hill, the owner of the property is now deceased and it is part of his estate. One on, I believe, Krista, please correct me if I'm wrong, is it Elm or is it Fir, where there's a trailer and like an abandoned car that the homeowner, we believe, is deceased? And,
I believe that's Elm, yes.
and we have one from an individual who has been with us for quite some time, and I have been trying to locate him. I know for a period of time he was incarcerated, is out, but I have not been able to track him down over the last couple of weeks. I have to admit that over the last week, my energy went elsewhere. I'll be picking up that quest again, but in talking with our attorney about this, we already have a current blight issue in Tamarack City that's in the courts and still hasn't been resolved, and it is proving to be somewhat costly to the township relative to our legal expenses. At this moment, I'm hesitant to recommend that we pursue a legal remedy at this moment till we can figure out where the resources would come from for a long-standing blight issue in town. It doesn't mean we're not interested. It only means that we've got to figure out a way to address it where it's a win-win for everyone. Right now, the person in question has very little in the way of resources, has, as I said just a moment ago, been recently incarcerated, and I haven't been able to track him down, but I will be persistent in my quest. We have gotten feedback on ordinances posted. Most of it has been oral, some has been in writing, and I will probably be presenting to the board as early as the January meeting a methodology for going forward. I've gotten some wonderful ideas about creating a spreadsheet. Krista has volunteered to assist with that, where we could track each call contact from its initiation to its conclusion on a spreadsheet. We're looking at timelines. We're looking at cost. We're looking at a change in perhaps the penalty or sanctions. We also would follow our protocols whenever we're making changes to ordinances to include public hearings, but also the posting of ordinances or making them available to the township residents in their totality to provide feedback on the changes that we would be proposing. By way of example, we would identify current language, proposed language, and put out a document where people could look at what existed and what was being proposed, and then we would go through the hearing process before any action would take place. I don't anticipate any changes taking place before late spring, early summer of next year, but I wanted the board to understand that we are still working on this process, and now that we have the election and a few other fairly notable items like the Mason Sewer Project behind us, we'll be in a position to devote a little more time to ordinances. So wanted to bring you up to speed on that. The next item, budget amendments. We've begun the process at a very low level at this moment, but we will endeavor as office staff to have budgets for the township, the water systems et al. In draft form for your review at the January meeting. As we enter the coming month, we are in the last quarter of the fiscal year, and our hope is to get our budget amendments processed as expeditiously as January 13th, and they will then give us a springboard or template to prepare budgets for the 21-22 fiscal year. Also, are there any questions about the ordinance comments a moment ago or the timelines for budget amendments? I'm hopeful that the new office hours under the extended COVID-19 restrictions are lifted after the 20th of the month. We're on staggered shifts, spending a limited amount of time in the office and then bringing work home. The hope is we'll have more face time with one another, and it will expedite the process on some of these issues. I mentioned the Board of Review meeting a few moments ago. I also mentioned that our Board of Review members need to be reappointed. They are 2-year terms. They run from odd year to odd year, and we need to reappoint our Board of Review. Our Board of Review members are David Torrey, David Caspery, Charles Westfall. The alternates are Rick Greb and Dan Wenberg. It is my recommendation to the board that the membership stay in place and the board pass a motion to retain the current Board of Review membership in its current capacity. Mr. Greb and Mr. Wenberg are the alternates.
I will make a motion to reappoint Dave Torrey, Dave Caspery, and Charlie Westfall as the Board of Review members, and Dan Wenberg and Rick Greb as alternates.
Thank you, Krista. Is there support for the motion?
I'll support it.
There is support for the motion. Is there discussion on the motion to reappoint the members of the Board of Review?
Who supported that, please?
Don,
Don?
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Any further discussion on the motion to reappoint the Board of Review members in their current capacity? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion to reappoint the Board of Review members, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We will notify them quickly that they have, I believe, 10 days to come in and take care of paperwork relative to their reappointment. And just to refresh your memory, the Board of Review will meet a week from tomorrow at 10 a.m. virtually with probably only 1 or 2 people in the office. The next item on the agenda is the proposed Mason sewer system lawnmower or tractor. I trust everyone has had an opportunity to review the material on the items for consideration. Has everybody had a chance to look at the documentation from UP Engineering relative to the lawnmowers?
Yes.
Are we interested in moving at tonight's meeting on that? Or do we wish to delay it to the January meeting? It is your call.
Is
I'm gonna
I can't remember if anybody asked this or if it was answered last meeting, but is Jim the one who's going to be doing the mowing, or is that going to be maintenance's job?
That'll probably be Jim.
Okay, has he weighed in about his feelings on this? I mean, since he's the one that has to use it, I'd really like to get his opinion then.
Yeah, he had, thank you for the question, Krista. He has participated in the progress meetings,
Mhm.
and he played an integral role in discussions about the lawnmower and the specifications. But
Mhm.
because he's not participating tonight, it's a question he's not obviously in a position to answer for us. I don't think it would hurt anything, since we're expecting spring delivery anyway, to delay our decision until January and seek Jim Sira's input on what type of machine he prefers.
Okay, I mean, I guess I personally would prefer that. You know, it does me no good to say, oh, we should get a certain lawnmower and I'm never going to have to use it, you know?
Right, and I think they were all around in the same price range too, so it would be probably more beneficial for him to say which one,
Yeah.
you know, he would prefer.
I can certainly alert him to our hopes and expectations and let him know we'll make a decision in January.
Okay, that would
I'll
be
also
great.
convey that. Andy, is that acceptable from your standpoint?
Yeah, that'll be fine. I know that we were looking at two different styles of tractors based
Right.
on previous conversations with the board. One was the smaller rider, the zero-turn style, and the other was a more expensive four-wheel drive type tractor. So I guess what was the board's leaning as far as that concept, going with the zero-turn rider or the larger tractor? The larger tractor, as being more expensive, would probably require, the township to kick in 15,000 or so in that ballpark of their own money to get the larger tractor.
If I recall the offer, it was something north of 25,000, was it not?
Correct.
Big tractor.
Well, since we're looking at budgets, we can determine between now and the next meeting whether that's even feasible.
And if that's desired.
Yeah. Is that okay?
Yeah, sidebar to that, if you recall the conversation, was that if the township kicked in some money to help purchase it, it would broaden the use of the tractor if purchased, because we would have a stake in it by contributing to its cost.
Correct. Okay.
Is that okay, Andy, that we defer the decision and talk with Jim and then decide in January?
Yeah, that's fine. The concept of buying the larger, more expensive tractor has not been run by rural development.
Okay.
So if that was a township's desire, we'd have to ask rural development if that would be acceptable to them.
Can you do an exploratory contact with them and ask about its feasibility?
Sure. You can ask
Thank
the
you.
question.
Anything else on the tractor? We'll defer the decision till the January meeting and talk with Jim Sira, and everybody gets a chance to look at the specifications one more time. Any additional comments?
No.
Next item under new business is Copper Country ISD request. Krista, I'm asking you, do we need something formal on this, or is this something that we have done routinely and the letter sent to us was informational?
No, we do have to have a motion agreeing to do the tax collection. I'm just gonna point out that in here it says collect the district's summer school property taxes. I do collect this in both the summer and the winter because I do dollar-based school in the summer and I do Calumet school in the winter. But they've always sent it that way, so I always just state it. for the record, I guess. So yeah, we do need a motion to approve collecting their taxes.
Do I have such a motion to collect the ISD's taxes as requested?
I'll make that motion.
Motion from Tracy. Is there support for the motion?
I'll support it, Don.
There's support from Don. Further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion to honor the request from the Copper Country ISD relative to their tax collection, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. We have two additional items under new business coming from the Water Board. It is one is the approval of a pit meter for Airport Road on property identified by Bob, that property that failed a test, and there is a leak between the main and the meter. Place a pit meter there. The second is to accept the offer from Zemnick Excavating relative to covering the exposed or potentially exposed water line to Mason between Dollar Bay, Woodside, and Mason on the railroad grade. Would you like to address them as in one motion coming up from the Water Board or individually?
I will make a motion to accept them together.
A motion from Krista to accept the recommendations of the Water Board for a pit meter on Airport Road and to approve the covering of the eroded ground around our water line between Dollar Bay, Woodside, and Mason on the railroad grade. Do I have support for the motion?
I'll support.
Support for the motion. Further discussion on the motion to approve the recommendations from the Water Board? Hearing none, could we have a roll call vote, please, on the motion?
Ms. Gardner?
Yes.
Mr. Wareham?
Yes.
Mr. Jenke?
Yes.
Mr. Osceola?
Yes?
Yes. Okay.
That concludes the agenda for our meeting. We did indicate early on that we would permit at the end of our meeting before a motion to adjourn an opportunity for public comment. Is there anyone who wishes to address the board at this time? You would have up to 3 minutes. Please identify yourself and your time would begin when you begin speaking.
Mark, this is Kristen. I'd like to make a comment.
Kristen, the floor is yours for 3 minutes.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I wanted to hear about your blight update, especially before making any comment. So thanks for providing a blight update as a part of your of the meeting tonight. I did listen on the copy fees and that invoice and heard that you were planning to update the invoice. My comment on that is that there was actually no paper copies that were requested or received. And as my email stated, it was a request to remove it and a clarification that anytime copies were charged, that the township was charging over twice what is allowable under the state law, which you explained how that came to be. So that's a comment there on that invoice and fees. You have provided the information, which I appreciate, via scan, which was much more practical than the copies. Although it sounds like you did create copies, they weren't provided nor needed to fulfill the request. The next topic that I have is on the information itself. I wanted to say that in a preliminary review of the attachment that you provided, I noticed a few things I just wanted to state for the public benefit. One of them is that what I learned in the request for information from 2016 to 2020 was that there were several notices and steps taken by Mr. Karpiak regarding blight and junk cars, and he did do citations and letters, and he seemed to be getting some cooperation. I haven't done a detailed read of it, but there were several letters that said that issues appeared to be being addressed. So that was one thing I learned. and that he had gained some cooperation, and that there have not been any correspondences sent since June of 2019. So from July onward, which I would imagine is the start of your tenure mark, there haven't been any written notices made at any time by the township. You have talked about informal steps that you have taken and have also gotten some, have gained compliance, but I was surprised that there hadn't been any written correspondences made. And that was last. And then the last thing is I just made a note of the email that I sent this week about reflecting the public comments in the meeting minutes, and gaining as much, making the record as accurate as possible as to the content of those public comments. So, and with that, I'll close. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for your comments. Anyone else wish to address the board before a motion to adjourn?
Yes, this is Cindy. I'd like to address the board as well. I'd like to see the board continue to work on the burning ordinance and the blight issue ordinance, because I filled out a blight form in October 2019 that still needs to be worked on. And also, I would like to say it's good to continue. I think it's good to continue with the old-fashioned ice rink with either snowbank style boards or hay or straw style boards, because it's good to be able to have a place to get exercise. Thank you.
You're welcome. Does anybody else wish to address the board before a motion to adjourn?
Oh.
Hearing none, we'll close the public comment section. Thank you very much for participating with our meeting. Tracy, please note the time if you would. Does anyone else have anything from board perspective that they believe we should discuss tonight before we adjourn the meeting?
No.
Someone, anything?
No.
Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion, Krista.
Krista moves to adjourn. Is there support?
I'll support Tracy.
There's support from Tracy. All in favor of the motion to adjourn, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thanks, everyone. We stand adjourned.
Thank you. See you guys
Thank
soon
you.
in person,
Good
hopefully.
night, everyone.
Good night, everyone. Thank you.